No spirituality at all. We don't want to bring spirituality into a child's life. We will teach them some simple forms of yoga for mental and physical health. That's different. But no spirituality will be brought to them as a part of education, never. Because spirituality should not be brought about like that. Maybe after they finish their education, if they want to go through a stint of 3 months or 6 months of spiritual training, they can, that's by choice. That anybody can go through. But the children who… because the premise is also we will move it out, only 1 or 2 years it will be in the ashram, after that we will move it out close by. Already we're making necessary arrangements for that. So the school will not try to teach any spirituality. At the same time, we just want to cultivate a certain openness in the human being. See, somebody turns successfully spiritual because he has developed a certain openness about life. He has no conclusions about anything. He is willing to look at everything. This is something we will cultivate in the child. That the child learns to look at every aspect of life with absolute openness, without prejudice, without any religious, cultural or any kind of inclinations, with absolute openness to every aspect of life. If that happens, whether you talk spirituality to him or you don't, he will anyway turn spiritual. Spirituality will be a natural part of his life, not something that he pursues going to an ashram or someplace. It will be just a natural part of his life because he has developed an openness to every aspect of life. And actually, education was supposed to be that right from the beginning. The very purpose of educating people is to broaden their horizons, isn't it? But you tell me, as people are getting educated, are they broadening their horizons or are they becoming very narrow? See, just let's say 50 years ago, in India there still are such families, but everywhere in the world, people lived in large families. In India, 300, 400 people lived in one house, huge families. There was no big problem, They knew how to adjust with each other and go on because 400 people living in one place is a challenge. That's what the ashram is. Now we are back into that old system of being one large family, and this is even more challenging because there are different types of people from different cultures, different languages, different attitudes, different likes and dislikes, but living together without friction needs enormous maturity and a very broad way of looking at life. Otherwise you cannot. But just see now, as modern education came, slowly we can't even live with our own parents anymore. We just thought husband, wife, children, this is family. But now, in the last 15, 20 years, even that is going away. Family means just you. Your husband has to live in a separate house, you in a separate house. Together you won't last 10 days. Children have to be there separately. Somewhere else they must be. In one place, even 2, 3 people cannot live together, isn't it? This is what education has done to you. It has not broadened your horizons. It's somewhere made you so narrow and individualistic. You're no more inclusive, you're becoming very exclusive, isn't it? The inclusion is totally gone. The whole idea of educating a person is that he is just living in a narrow sphere of life. You educate him, make him know about the whole world and broaden his whole perspective of life. Education means inclusion, isn't it? But the kind of education we are imparting to the children, it is making them so highly exclusive. They can't even stand one more person in their life. See, most people have gotten themselves into a situation they can't live with anybody anymore, isn't it? So, that is not just individual. It is it's the phenomena of the world. It's a generational phenomena because of the kind of education that's being imparted. So we want to impart an education which is highly inclusive, that as you grow, you include the whole world as yourself and live. And that's spirituality. So spirituality will not be taught. Education itself is spirituality. because education is about broadening your horizons, not about talking about God or some nonsense. So, we want children to grow up keeping their intelligence intact, not suppressive education, where the child's thirst to know is kindled, but he is not forced to learn. So, the longing to know, the longing to learn has to be brushed up within the child, not just feeding with enormous amount of information and expecting him to pass. This will not be like that. This will be a very different type of structure. At the same time, by the time they are 16, 17, we will prepare them for any university in the world, they will be ready to go. They will be ready enough to get into any kind of university according to their individual capabilities, of course. But apart from that, they're fundamentally learning to live better. They're learning to handle themselves better and live better with themselves and with people around them, which is a very important factor. And people are successful in their life not because they have degrees, not because they have university certificates, it's because they're capable, isn't it? So, this school will be more capability-oriented, not qualification-oriented. We are seeing how to enhance the capability of the child in whatever area his natural talent is, rather than trying to just make him qualified with a certain, certificate attached to him.
Sadhguru, whatever you said about the school and education just now, it's modern and contemporary, but what about the ancient schools, the gurukuls of the past, were they not successful in producing good human beings?
The ancient gurukuls were definitely like this. The ancient gurukul was 100% the way I am talking. The very purpose and the basic function of the guru was to destroy all the things that you have assumed as true. But now the education also involves equipping the person to earn his living and make his living in the world. So we have those twin challenges. At that time, the guru was not trying to impart, skills for him to go and survive in the society. Because if your father is a cobbler, you naturally became a cobbler. If your father is a king, you became a king. If your father is something else, you became that. You didn't have to be equipped to make a living in some other way in ancient times. So the guru was only educating them towards the realization. So the job was more, I would say more simple, because it was unidimensional. But now it's not like that.